Welcome back. Part of what I want to do for all of you is to make you all aware of your options in the drug diversion prevention space, which is why I have invited our guest today, Michael Vance, the Vice President of Sales for PharmID. PharmID has a waste product called Waste Witness, and that is what we'll be talking about today. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Terri, for having me.
Sure thing. Start us off by telling us a little bit about PharmID, the company, and then, if you would, let's lead with a story on how the Waste Witness has helped a facility to catch diversion.
Well, thank you, Terri, for having me today. PharmID does waste verification for healthcare and healthcare facilities. Our initial product, Waste Witness, is a tool to help healthcare workers detect and deter diversion in the healthcare space. Our goal is to help hospitals uncover drug diversion earlier and much more accurately than before in the past.
Great.
To answer your second question, we found diversion in numerous institutes with our technology, Waste Witness. The first story I'll give you was recently from a drug diversion specialist who was utilizing our tool called Waste Witness, where they had a suspicious individual that they were tracking and following. They had a waste of a morphine syringe, and that actual contents of that syringe came back to the facility as only trace amounts of morphine in that syringe. So Waste Witness was able to deliver the information to the organization in a timely fashion, but give them the accurate reading that they needed, that there was diversion within that specific syringe.
Okay, that's great. Where do you see, there's obvious value just in what you've said already, but where do you see the real value of PharmID's product, Waste Witness? There are other products on the market that do something along these lines. So what differentiates you from your competition?
Well, we have fast, accurate, reliable results, and the ability to not only have that side of the story, the fact that we are not based in central pharmacy. Our tool or resource, Waste Witness, can be utilized anywhere within the healthcare facility. It doesn't have to be a it doesn't have to be a central pharmacy device that's based in central pharmacy where you're bagging and tagging medication and bringing all the syringes back to central pharmacy where you're adding to the medication life cycle. Our product can then be placed out into the actual point of care perspective where providers see the device and know that they're wasting their medications through our device, and therefore it becomes a deterring mechanism to stop diversion before it starts.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool, but we all know that we cannot increase the time it takes for the end user, nurses, anesthesiologists to do their waste witnessing or do their waste. So how long does it take when you're using the product from kind of start to finish? What kind of timeline are we talking about?
Great question. Timeline is under a minute to run a scan of an individual vial or syringe. You're going to log into the system using your own credentials, and therefore then you're going to select the drug and the concentration that you're going to waste and push that medication through the device after filling out some customizable fields for analytics purposes to understand where that drug came from. And then you're going to push that medication through, click dispose, and then the results are not populated to the user or device from a point of care perspective. That information is going to be sent to a drug diversion portal for administration to understand what the results are of that wasting episode.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, that was going to be the next question. Do they know that's right, you wasted the right thing, or do they not? So when they're wasting, do they use the original, like whatever syringe they currently have the med in, and what does it come out into? What part is a whole separate setup that they need versus what they already have, and then you just insert the Waste Witness into it?
So the waste witness device is agnostic when it comes to a container or receptacle that actually catches the controlled substance. Any of those devices work underneath the flow block. You're just going to attach a lure lock or slip tip syringe to the actual flow block itself to push the medication through to waste that medication.
Okay. You mentioned that the information goes to the diversion specialist or whoever they have the system set up to go to. Do you provide what kind of information? Some metrics and analytics, or what does it look like when they see it?
Yeah, the reporting portal, allows administrators to see the data on each individual wasting scan. This allows the diversion team to catch trends that are continuing within their facility. Who's partnering with who from a witness perspective, the user, the drug, the location, and time frame. All that data is collected on our analytics portal that gives the drug diversion team the information to further their investigation.
Okay. And I know we've talked about it in the past, and I'm not sure where you are with it, but right now you can read the med, right? Are you working on volume, or do you have that set up yet to be able to read volume as well?
So currently, right now, we can read the drug and concentration at 99% efficacy. As far as the volume piece is concerned, we're in beta testing for volume. Each individual state governs the witness law of whether or not the witness is needed. And currently, with that piece, we're waiting for volume to become commercially available. And once it becomes commercially available, we'll put it out in a beta test site with state approval to start capturing the volume piece. Therefore, a witness would not be needed.
I'm sure a lot of facilities would like that. If they can depend on it to be accurate, then you've maybe increased a little bit of time for the person doing the wasting, but you've taken away the entire time for that witness. So there's a lot of value in that. What if I need to measure another drug? Do you have like a formulary? How do I go about getting another drug into the formulary?
So the benefit of Waste Witness and PharmID is that we build the medication models in the cloud and store them in the cloud for each individual tenant and client. So depending on their drug menu of controlled substances and their concentrations, we'll build those models for each individual client, store them in the cloud, and then use those to test their own substance that they're wasting. So therefore, it's individually compiled for each individual site.
Okay, all right. And then also, maybe you can't share with us, but I'm sure you're aware of the different software surveillance packages that are out there. Is there anything in the works are you agnostic with those companies? Are you trying to coordinate with those to link your metrics? So if somebody has one of those platforms, they can just see it all at one glance?
Our goal is to definitely integrate with analytics and the analytics providers that are in the marketplace. We've had conversations with many of the groups that are in the marketplace today. Depending on client wish list for that matter, we are available to move down that pathway. It's just about putting the resources and the time management together to build the platform to make sure that those two links are communicating between our analytics and the wasting results to the analytics of those providers.
Okay, great. Sounds good. If somebody were interested in finding more about your product, in addition to going to your website, and I'm guessing there's a contact form on there, I should have checked that ahead of time. Is there any other way that they can learn more about your product?
Definitely. You can reach out directly to myself, which is michael@pharmid.com. You can go to our website, which is pharmid.com. And in the not so distant future, September 20th through the 22nd, PharmID will be in discussions with our primary process, which is Raman spectroscopy on day 2, a presentation that's going to be given by one of our clients at IHFDA.
Okay, IHFDA. So those of you out there, you've heard that mentioned a few times, I'm sure, on my interviews. It's a great organization that gives you a lot of great content for drug diversion prevention and monitoring. So PharmID will be at that virtual conference if you want a little bit more information. Okay, that's great. Well, the product sounds great, Michael. I wish you guys the best. I hope you're kind of back and going after the year kind of slowdown, I'm guessing, and with everyone putting their resources and time elsewhere. Do you have any questions for me?
I do, Terri. Just specifically to your last statement. Obviously, with the COVID-19 pandemic, with resources being cut, nursing and provider time, there seems to be a lot of issues, and those issues obviously are making the opioid pandemic or exacerbating the opioid epidemic even more. And just with your background when it comes to diversion and being a PharmD, I'm curious as to where you've seen issues within the medication life cycle, especially when it comes to waste and waste verification.
Well, waste verification to me is kind of a black hole. Unless the end user is wasting at the automated dispensing machine, they've pulled it out, they have somebody there, like it's a sealed container. Hey, come waste with me. I'm not going to give the whole thing. To me, that is the only time that you can know pretty certainly. I mean, you've seen them take it out and then you're going to watch them waste it, that they are wasting what is actually in that syringe or that vial, that partial. Outside of that, once they've had that product and they've been in a patient's room or they've been out of your eyesight, I don't think we really know what they're wasting. And so I think waste is actually one of those areas that not only is it a big black hole, but to me, it would be almost the easiest way to do it, right? Assuming that you have waste often enough in your hands that it would make a difference to you. When I'm doing audits for watching healthcare workers, I can see if they've dispensed it. I can see if they've charted it. Granted, they don't necessarily have to give it. And I can see that they said that they wasted it. But really, what did they waste? And, a good example I have is one audit that I did not terribly long ago. And there was a lot of waste. I mean, a lot of waste, fentanyl waste. And it was in a recovery type of a unit. And during the interview, when I had said, I think this is what you're doing. And essentially it was, you're doing this, this, and this. So you end up with this waste and you have waste in your hand, but you're not really wasting it. And their answer was very enlightening to me. They actually kind of shook their head, which is like, okay, they just told me, yes, that's what's happening, right? By that involuntary shake of the head. But then after just a few seconds, there was silence and calm. And then they said, but I'm wasting it. You can see that I'm wasting it in the ADM. And they were right. There wasn't a single unaccounted for waste. It was all there. It all had a witness. But was it really fentanyl, right? And no, I don't think so. So I think it's a huge black hole. And I think it's we focus on the prevention piece and getting our policies and procedures in order. And we focus on the monitoring piece and we do the surveillance. And for those that have the software out there, they're kicking it up a notch. But we really don't know what people are wasting. And so when it comes to that, what we've got is you have a lot of waste at your disposal and some of these other data points don't look right. So I think you're not really wasting it, but we don't have any way to prove it most of the time. So I think it's important.
I couldn't agree more. That's one thing that PharmID prides themselves on from a program build-up setup perspective with waste. We provide our clients with sample SOPs from a drug diversion standpoint of how other institutions have set up point of care mobile audit product of our waste witness technology to do waste verification, to understand how to build the program, but also to build a strong program from the beginning of looking at that waste to verify on a molecular level what exactly is being pushed through on the back end.
Yeah, definitely. It's an important piece. All right. Well, thank you. Anything else that you wanted to ask or discuss?
Thank you so much for your time,
Okay.
Terri. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.